I realized I forgot to hit the go live button. So we're not live right. I'm gonna play it again and then go. I was wondering why no one was in the chat. Or in the watching live, and then I realized it. Okay, sorry. I'll do it again.
Okay, sounds good.
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the On the Sideline podcast of Jackson and Kyle. I am Jackson, and I'm joined here, as always, by the man whose favorite team will win the Super Bowl this year. Kyle, how's it going?
Doing very good, and yeah, I'm looking forward to that for sure. We did play well.
Yeah, Kyle. So we're not able to do a show live last Sunday, so I figure we'll do a quick. We have a lot to get to. There's 15 games this week, but I figure we'll do a quick recap of just kind of all the games that happened last week, and then get into the preview for this week. Does that sound good?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay, so let's start off with Kyle. So I've been thinking a lot about this. I think I'm rooting against the Patriots to win the Super Bowl. I think that's where I'm at. I thought that enough time had passed that I would still root for them. Now I think if it's Patriots Chiefs, I'm rooting for the Chiefs.
Okay. Yeah. That's a little harsh, I gotta say. So what happened? Here's what it was. Sunday that made you feel that way? Yes.
They cut to Robert Kraft next to Dave Portnoy, and I'm like, we can't do another 20 years of this.
That's a pretty tough duo. I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, you're great. We all know that you do wonders for the Patriots fan base, but you're leaving after this year anyway. So who cares?
Yeah, I know. Now it's just going to be Dave Portnoy running the New England sports media, right? Where will they find Boston sports fans?
Right. It's only you and Dave Portnoy, no one else.
I know. Yeah, I don't know. Listen, there are definitely, they had the moniker Masshole for a reason. There are definitely not the best Patriots fans in the world out there. I understand that. I think the one thing about this team is that it's fun. We haven't had even just as Patriots fans, we haven't had this kind of young up and coming team like this in a very, very long time. Even the Mac Jones tenure, there's a lot of still vets kind of lingering from the old regime early on in that one. And then, they obviously had to rebuild and all that. This is a young and fun team. And, we haven't had that in, 20 plus years. So it's been kind of refreshing to see all that happen. And, it was the explosive plays again. And all of a sudden, these explosive plays just happen week after week after week. I am curious to hear your thoughts on just the Patriots as a team, someone who, I know you watch all the games, but you don't pay as close attention probably as me, and your thoughts on that game and their performance.
Yeah, well, I'll get to that in just a second. First, the great overlap 618 with a super chat saying, one man's trash is another man's treasure. With Kyle getting out of here, there's only one man to fill those shoes. They're relatively small, by the way. This is Overlap the mod, but seriously, thanks, Kyle. Is he saying his shoes are small or your shoes are small?
I think he's saying I got small feet. I don't know.
Okay. Well, anyway, we'll say. I have no idea what the size of Kyle's shoes. We only see him from waist up.
It's average, guys. Everybody calm down.
Okay. Kyle's shoes are small. Thank you for the super chat Overlap. The Patriots are really good. I mean, it's as annoying as it is. It just feels like from top to bottom, Christian Gonzalez just really. I mean, there was that drive early on where it felt like the Patriots were kind of trying to just play zone defense and play back, and Egbuka had them march down the field, get a touchdown. And from that point forward, it felt like Gonzalez was on Egbuka the entire game, and just there was nothing there. It completely limited the Buccaneers offense, which is an offense that hasn't looked as good as of late, especially when you can blitz and cover the Tampa receivers and keep Baker Mayfield in the pocket. There's not only so much you can do with that. But yeah, I mean, they're really good, and the offense for the Patriots wasn't great. I thought play in and play out, but like they just had those big plays, right? It's just like when they had to play, it went for 70 yards. So I mean, the Patriots. I think I said this on the Off the Sideline podcast on Sunday. I think if you give me one team in the AFC right now, I think I'm picking New England to make it to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. I had this conversation with somebody else today. I think right now they are the best team in the AFC. Based on the 10 weeks, 10 weeks of evidence we have, I think they're the best team in the AFC. However, it's just one of those things where the playoffs are one game format. Anybody can win, anybody can lose. So I'm not going to be like disappointed if they go up against Buffalo in round 1 and lose. Like I don't think that'd be fair to judge the season that way. And there are going to be the teams still with the experience in the AFC. Kansas City, Buffalo, Baltimore have all been there for several years now, so it's going to be tough. But I think right now, if I looked at it, I think you would probably, I think most people objectively would have to say that this is the best team in the AFC right now. There are still things I want to fix, see them fix. The two things that I think will cost the Patriots if they lose in a playoff setting are these slow starts and also these just there's still a level of youth and boneheadedness at times, so they had the slow start again where they give up the early scoring drive. They've done that a lot this season. And then, they're about to go up, they're up 21-10, have the big play, and then the third and goal, or sorry, no, they're up 21-16, get the big play, and then they had the third and goal late where at minimum it puts you up 8 with the field goal. And instead the interception happens. Now defense did come up with a huge stop. You got the run play that kind of broke the game open and put it away from there. But you just have to be smart in those situations. And it's not like all Drake May's fault in those situations. Other guys have made mistakes in those settings, but those are the things that the Patriots still have to get over the hump. But once again, the difference is with this team is that they're doing dumb things and still finding ways to win, where there was a lot of times where they did a lot of dumb things and dumb teams lost.
Yeah, and quite frankly, you're not going to play a game where everyone on the roster doesn't, no one on the roster does something stupid too. Like it's going to happen. I agree. And again, if it's them versus Kansas City, we'll see. But also, I would just say like easy schedule, real opportunity to get the 1 seed too. I think that's part of the math here of this. If it feels like as long as they beat the Bills the second time, and even if they don't beat the Bills the second time, because the Bills lost to the Dolphins, like that's the second tiebreaker is divisional records. So like win the other, just beat the Dolphins and the Jets, and you can lose to that Bills game and probably still win the division, which would probably get them the 1 seed.
Yeah, there's a good chance that they end up 5-1 in the division. So that's going to be the key. Yeah, I mean, it all just depends. Like I think that they got a good shot, but still a lot of football left. Everyone's got to stay healthy, and we'll see how it looks. But so far, it's looked so good, and they have by EPA they have I think they have the 8th best offense, 8th best defense, and they have the MVP favor in the NFL right now. So those are a lot of the keys that you need for a winning formula.
Yeah, I was trying to think of who I would pick for MVP. I think when I did my like Buccaneers fan recap afterwards, I think I said I'd probably lean Drake May. Matthew Stafford really has to be in the mix, and I think I really think Mahomes should be very much in this conversation as well. I think to me it's those three. I think if that comes down to those three, you're gonna give it to Stafford just because like that's just it's like it's the career achievement Oscar, right? It's just like if we can find if we can make this work, we'll make this work.
Yeah, I think there's definitely an argument for it. I think him and May would have the two biggest narratives because Stafford, it's the career work, and then there's this whole year 2 to quarterback narrative of like the birth of superstars, where you saw I think Lamar won an MVP, Mahomes won an MVP his second year, that kind of thing, and that turns into something. So, I think both of those could be strong arguments. And I guess that's the other part of this conversation where I think the big things from Week 10 happened, because you had Tampa Bay obviously in this game, which played well, and I kind of feel like we've talked about it a few times, and it just feels like it may not be their year because of all the bad luck. They're Baker's still playing incredibly well, I think, despite the circumstances. But beyond even Tampa Bay in this game having a big game coming down to the wire there, you had this Eagles and Packers game on Monday night.
Yeah.
And you had, a few, the Rams and Seahawks continue to look really good. And it just feels like we're starting to get the hierarchy here of the NFC teams where, I don't know, it just feels like it's right now Philadelphia, Seattle, Los Angeles, and then there's a gap between that and 4. Would you agree with that?
I think so. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, those are definitely. I still like Detroit a lot. I know that Detroit's had a couple of off weeks. I still think that their offense can compete with anyone. I think I'd probably keep them in that top. I'd put them in with the other three in the NFC. But yeah, I mean, we can use this as a transition to the Monday night game. I don't know. I feel like people are overreacting. The Packers have not looked good these past 2 weeks, and they've had some bad. When
Mm-hmm.
they've looked bad, it's been very bad. Like their 3 losses are atrocious, and to have a bad tie in there. So I guess it's fair to like critique them when 4 out of the 9 times we've seen them play, it just hasn't looked good. I still feel like there's maybe an overreaction to them losing by 3 to the reigning champs who are favored to get back there in the NFC. Like I get that both offenses struggled, but I don't know. Like I still feel like there is the Packers at their best have looked good. To me, the Packers' issue is just they've been so inconsistent. This like the fact that Matt LaFleur is on the hot seat to me, I think is insane because I think he's done a ton good for this team. I just feel like when he can't scheme stuff up, there's only so much that the Packers can do.
Yeah, and I think that inconsistency is my problem because you got to win
Mm-hmm.
4 straight rounds, 3 straight rounds
Yeah,
to make a Super Bowl, right? And that's just not going to be easy if you keep, week in, week out. And the last 2 weeks, just quite simply, I mean, the team we saw the last 2 weeks is definitely not a contender, right?
right.
So can they figure it out? Can they right the ship? I mean, they've dealt with a lot of pass catcher injuries, and this is not a group that has like elite pass catch option anyway. So like when you're missing a Jaden Reed, when you're missing a Tucker Kraft, like it just feels like losses like that don't feel significant feel more significant when you don't have a go-to option. It's Romeo Dobbs, Matthew Golden, who was also hurt, Christian Watson, who, is in and out of the lineup all the time anyways,
Mm-hmm.
Dontavian Wicks. Like, it just feels like without that elite option, losing a couple of good options becomes that much more difficult to overcome.
Yeah, I'm like, don't get me wrong. Like, I don't think this is a Super Bowl team. I guess this is the Packers team I kind of feel like I expected coming into this season, and I was called a Packers hater by all Packers fans for saying that this is kind of what I expected. And in weeks 1 and 2, my take looked absolutely horrible because they blew out the Lions and blew out the Commanders. Both two teams, we thought the Commanders were good at the time. So I'm thinking like, okay, clearly this team is great, and I think that just expectations got to. I've been talking about this all season. I just think expectations were too high for this Packers team. Like they're
Yeah.
probably going to make the playoffs. I think they could win a playoff game, and honestly, I think they can beat anybody. Again,
Yeah.
they just as easily could have won this game. It came down to a missed field goal that the field goal was nowhere close because 64 yards in the cold, but like they get 10 extra yards there, maybe this game goes to overtime. If Jordan Love doesn't fumble on that play, then this game, it's 10-10. Like a lot of things could have happened. Granted, Nick Sirianni had a weird 4th down decision that kind of got Green Bay back in it, but nonetheless, it just felt like there was, I just feel like I think that I think the Packers are fine. The Packers are not great, but the Packers are fine.
I don't think any team should panic if they're in a playoff spot because it is the NFL and you just got to win a game to advance in the playoffs. I think anybody can do that. And honestly, like I still think the top 6 of the NFC are all still really good. I think any of the top 6 teams in the NFC, I'm not counting Chicago in that category, any of the top 6 teams in the NFC can beat anybody in the playoffs in a round, I think. But I think it's fair, the Packers do have that head-to-head over Detroit, so they're going to get, the Packers fans will argue that we beat Detroit handedly. That was week 1, though. In week 1, I think we've seen has been an anomaly time and time again for the last few seasons. So we'll see. I mean, they got to play each other again, but I don't think it's a hot take to say, the Packers shouldn't panic, but I think it's fair to say you're probably the 5th best team in the NFC right now. And that's just is what it is. Like, I don't know. Like, do you think they're closer? If you rank the teams there, would you say they're closer to the top 4 or closer to Tampa at 6?
Well, I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's just bias. I don't think it's obvious that they're better than Tampa Bay.
No, I don't either. I think that's closer to me than Detroit and the other 3 teams.
Yeah, no, I think those two are in kind of a tier of their role in the NFC, and then I think the top 4 are in another tier. If you want to have the Lions kind of as in no man's land, I can understand that, but I think that, but yeah, no, I totally agree. I think that like it's weird. The Packers they're just a weird team. All their underlying stats are so good. And yet every week after week, I watch them and I'm like, I don't care what the underlying stats are. This isn't a great team. Like you have at a certain point, you have to play that way. So I get it. I just think that people weren't talking about their flaws prior to this game. And I think maybe on prime time, people have seen the flaws and are maybe overreacting more so and saying like this team stinks. When I'm like, I think this is the team we've seen all season.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much. So it's still a lot of football left to be played. We still are just past the halfway point of the season. So, a lot can change. But, I mean, yeah, when we've seen the Packers on their best day, they look like they can beat anybody. But, you have to do that 4 straight times at this point to win a Super Bowl. And I'm not convinced they can do that right now.
Yeah. Right. Which I agree with. I just don't think that this week isn't the one that's making me come to that conclusion, I guess is all I'm saying. Cause I think like they almost beat the Eagles.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, interesting debate there. Let's move on. Plenty of stuff we could talk about. Panthers losing after having that hype. Colts winning a wild one. Dolphins blowing out the Bills. That was kind of crazy. Just anything you want to spend a minute or two on before we move on?
Yeah, the Panthers one kind of sucked, right? Like,
I thought it was fine. I didn't mind it.
They were in a position. I mean, yeah, it helps you division wise, but like,
that's a compliment for your Panthers fan. I had to root for you to lose.
Yeah, I mean, they're at a point there where they would end up, game out of a playoff spot, half a game out of the playoff spot with a win. I mean, that feels like a massive letdown. Now, was this team that good? I don't know. Probably not, but like, yeah, that's a pretty big loss. That's pretty frustrating. Tyler Shuck did look pretty good though. I was impressed with him in that game, so I thought that was an interesting one. I mean, the other one too is the I still, the top 6 teams in the NFC I still think are stronger than the AFC, but the depth of the AFC continues to really show itself. You saw Miami with a big win in Buffalo. That offense, it still can be a good offense on its good day, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's still impressive. And then the Texans too. I mean,
we
were ready to we were ready to stick a fork in the Texans, and Stroud's out, and all of a sudden you're like, okay, they lose this. There's just too many good teams in the AFC that are competing for playoff spots. You're out at that point, and they pull off this huge comeback. Davis Mills looks really good down the stretch, and yeah, I mean that was a massive game for them in keeping their hopes alive. It's still a tough schedule. You're still battling uphill for that spot, but you're not out of it. That's the most important thing.
Yeah, they might have to sweep the Colts to get in, win the division. Get the division if that might be their pathway. But yeah, they're alive at least for this. And the Jaguars, that just like killed any optimism. I feel like losing a game like that. They got outscored 26-0 in the fourth quarter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you got the Chiefs on your heels. You got the Ravens on your heels, and now you got the Texans a game behind you too, with CJ Stroud hopefully coming back this week or next week. Like, yeah, I think I came away ready to stick a fork in Jacksonville after that game. That was crazy.
Yeah, I think it's I guess last thoughts before we move on. I think it's going to be like one of the Patriots or Bills will have a wild card spot. Obviously, I think 2 in the AFC West with the Broncos, Chargers, and Chiefs. 2 of those will get the other wild card spots, and then I think either the Steelers or the Ravens will win the division. Like that's, I think those are the 8 teams, 7 of which will make the playoffs. It's going to take so much for Jacksonville now losing that one.
Yeah, I think so. I would bet on those 2 AFC South teams not being in the picture, and it's just down to the other 8. I agree with that. It's going to be fascinating to see down the stretch because a very good football team is not going to make the playoffs this year. Like usually you're like, okay, this team's like 9-8, but like whatever, their point differential's like 0. I think there's going to be a really good team that does not make the playoffs.
Yeah, we'll see. Texans have a positive point differential of like 54 on the season. So we'll see if maybe it's them. I don't know. Or maybe they can get in. Again, still plenty of football left to be played. Still plenty of picks left to be had here, Kyle. Well, that the quick recap turned into maybe a medium-sized recap, but nonetheless, Kyle. So I made up a point in this. So now I'm up 2 points here as we both hit our locks. Turns out the key was for me to pick against my team. That allowed us to break the streak. So Kyle, I am still leading. Time for you to give me a game.
Yeah, this is a really good slate. It's a tough one to pick. I think there's a lot of candidates for first pick in this one. So with that being said, I'm going to go with I think the marquee game of the week, I'm looking forward to this one most. It's two of the hottest teams in football. These offenses look like juggernauts right now. It's an NFC West battle for the ages. Division leaders, the Seahawks, against the 7-2 Los Angeles Rams.
Yeah, interesting. Because you said what you think is the marquee game, and I'm like, I still have like 3 games that you could say.
Yeah.
I mean, like like you said, it's a great week. I think there's like 10 teams that are decided by that spreads less than 4. Um, it's a tough one. I think I am going to, it's in Los Angeles. I think not that it matters too much for divisional games because they're right there, but I think I am going to go with the Rams here. I just think the Rams. It's both it's an interesting game where like both offenses and both defenses have both been so good this season. Like it's hard to really differentiate this. I do think you look at in both situations, each team has an advantage with their number one receivers, right? So I think you have that going for you. I just think that I don't know. It's. I mean, is it a horrible take to just like I don't know? I think so. The Seahawks like to play a lot of man coverage. Puka Nacua notoriously destroys that. I think if they have to drop back and kind of not do what they do, we saw this in the playoff game against Minnesota last year, where then Stafford was able to kind of dice up that Vikings defense. They're different. Those are different teams, but I think that there is enough of a similarity there that I think we could see something similar with Stafford in this one.
Yeah, I think there's definitely a possibility for that too. I mean, look, generally, my general rule of thumb, if it's Puka Nacua against somebody else, a corner, I'm going to take Puka Nacua in that matchup, right? I
Yeah.
think he's proven for a couple of years now that, like you said, if it's a man-to-man situation, he's just going to get open. That being said, like, it does feel like there are still a lot of ways for Seattle to attack Los Angeles. Like their offensive line just looks really solid at this point. And, Rams win a lot up front. And that's kind of where they get their bread and butter is they get pass rush and they get pressure. And Seattle just hasn't given up a lot of pressure. And they move around Sam Darnold. They make it easier for him, and he also has just made some fantastic throws. And I think in a similar way, like Jackson Smith and Jigba can do a lot of damage, I think, to Los Angeles in a lot of ways too. And his ability to get open in zone or man-to-man defense, if it's that sort of situation. So I think I like that too. And then I think the other part is like, if I'm going to pick a defensive line to win against the offensive line in this matchup, I think I'm going to pick Seattle. I think this defensive line, this team is just, they're just built so well. They got 3 really good cornerbacks. They got 4 really good defensive linemen. It's like everyone on this team can rush the passer. DeMarcus Lawrence, Byron Murphy, Leonard Williams, Mike Morris, all of those guys can get after the quarterback and cause problems. And it's just a really, really good group across. And I think that they can just find ways to get to the quarterback that way.
Interesting. Well, I think with the Rams, they're not afraid to blitz and they will send extra pressure. And I will say this for Sam Darnold, he has. So I did this video, I think it was 2 weeks ago, where I looked at the difference between passer rating when you're blitzed versus not blitzed. And the biggest difference in the league was Sam Darnold, who has a 119 passer rating when he's not blitzed. It falls to 88 when he is blitzed, which is still like a good passer rating, but it's just not like, the godly numbers if you're not blitzed. So I do think that you send pressure. Part of it is too, I think you can pressure Seattle up the middle. And I think that might be something the Rams can potentially do in this game. So I might not necessarily, even though the Seahawks tackles have played well, I do wonder if that could be a slight difference as well.
Yeah, and you got Kobe Turner obviously in the middle that can cause some problems. So, I think it's going to be an interesting matchup across the board because there is a lot of like, it's 2 really, really good teams. In fact, I'd say 2 great teams right now. I think they're 2 of the 3 best teams in the league right now, based off what we've seen. And there's a lot of just interesting matchups within the matchups itself. Like you said, you got Stafford going up against this defense, which just travels. It feels like they could play anybody. It feels like this team can just match up with anybody and do its thing. And like you said, you have how does Seattle handle the pressure situations and how does Sam Darnold handle those? Because I mean, like if he ends up at a 90 passer rating this game, I think that's a win for Seattle. I think that's a win for Seattle if he's able to maintain that.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a good game. I think this could go down to the wire. It's a good first pick. Oh, your Kyle's drinking water. I have to kill time for a second.
No, you're good. There are a lot of really good games, but I think this is the one that it just I think both of these teams, the division's up for grabs in this one. I think it just matters so much.
Well, Kyle, I'll go to another game that's a divisional matchup. That is one. This is a one that you could say matters a lot for these two teams, although in a different sense, kind of a loser leaves town game. Let's go Panthers Falcons.
Yeah, I had this one pretty high too. Oh my gosh. I think I'm going to take the Panthers, and I don't love it, but I feel like I just have to. They looked terrible last week. Let's get a bounce back win here and get back to over 500. They just beat them 30-0. And yes, this Falcons team's an enigma. On their right day, they can be awesome. But I just think that what we saw up front with the Panthers in that game, that defensive line, they handled the Falcons in their run game pretty well. They have a physical corner in JC Horn that, can at least go up against Drake London and match up. So like he's not going to get bullied all the time. And that's the big thing with Drake London is he's just big enough to bully a lot of players. I think there are good matchups there. And then, we saw enough, I think, of what the Carolina Panthers can do in this game so that they can go out and get another win.
Someone in the chat says, "Kyle, let's get a house together and quit our jobs." Kyle, do you agree?
My DMs are open.
Okay, Kyle, open to it.
Hey, it's a buyer's market, isn't it? Actually, I don't even think it is.
Okay, Kyle potentially open to that, so that would be an interesting development here on the podcast. But anyway, yeah, I mean, I don't know. That first game was so weird. Like it was early on. We all thought the Falcons were pretty good. They were 1-1. They played Tampa Bay tough, and they blew out the Vikings, only to then lose 30-0. And the Panthers were horrible down that stretch. Bryce Young went off in that game. He had 121 passing yards, so that was a big day for him. I do think that this was in the pre-Rico Dowdle situation as well. So do you get more rushing yards? Because Atlanta actually, or I don't know, Rico Dowdle did play in that game, but he wasn't the starter in that game. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I mean, the Falcons ran the ball effectively in that one. Kyle, the Falcons threw the ball 43 times the last time they played. Bijan Robinson only had 13 carries. That might be flipped in this game.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. They can't fall down by a lot again, or else they're not going to be able to use that run game. So right. I do think that's a bit of that is the tough thing that they're dealing with. I can't get a feel for this Atlanta team. Like they just gave up 8 yards per carry to Jonathan. I mean, it's Jonathan Taylor. I get it. So but they just gave up 8 yards per carry in a game that they could have won against a really good Colts team. They were right in that, but it's a this Panthers team has run the ball well throughout the season. And like you said, especially since Rico Dowdle's been put in that lead back role. So what is Atlanta going to do in that situation to match up there?
Yeah, this will be the first game that ends in the 1 o'clock window. Both teams are just going to run the ball constantly.
Yeah, well, I mean, if the Panthers are up 30-0, then Atlanta has to.
Well, sure. Then definitely that would happen. Let's move on, Kyle. Time for you to give me a game.
All right. Even more good games. Let's go to, let's just do another candidate for marquee game of the week. I think it's slightly less marquee, but it is Sunday night, and it is a fun game, and it is two teams that have been really good for a couple seasons now. Let's go Lions at Eagles.
Yeah, I don't even know if this is slightly less. I mean, these are two teams that are fighting for the 1 seed still. There's enough time left that I know the Lions have 3 losses, but the Eagles have 2. You give them that 3rd loss, and you have the tiebreaker now. You're very much alive for that. I am predicting a Philadelphia victory. I know that they've been kind of wonky this season. I still just feel like, I mean, you have AJ Brown on a Twitch stream, which is already a weird sentence, and I haven't even finished it yet. We had him on a Twitch stream saying like, if you have me in fantasy, drop me, because he is not thrilled with that. But it's also like, this feels kind of like the game where you want AJ Brown and Devonta Smith, right? Like this is a way that these guys can come through. 2 of the best offensive lines in the league. That should be interesting. Although the Eagles haven't pass protected well. So, they've pass protected well. They haven't run blocked well. So yeah, I just think that I'm going to lean Philadelphia here at home.
I think it's the right side. But it is interesting. I think that this is really close. This Eagles team continues to baffle me just because, we were just ready to say like, okay, they're back to being Super Bowl favorite again and all that. And then, I mean, they won against a good team, so you can't hate it that much. But then all of a sudden, everyone's unhappy again. And again, like Saquon doesn't look very effective anymore. All of a sudden, um, you know, AJ Brown is the first disgruntled employee in the history of mankind, and how will they ever overcome this? I
Mhm.
don't know, but they're managing. Devontae has been really good this season. I think Devontae's been fantastic. But they definitely need that outside presence next to him too. The interesting thing I have for this game, and also, we didn't really get to do a full deep dive because we had a limited recap. This Eagles defensive line with Jalen Phillips in the mix looks pretty sick, I think, throughout. You still have Jordan Davis, you still have Jalen Carter, you have Nolan Smith there, and you have Jalen Phillips. Like, if those guys are healthy and on the field, like they might even overwhelm the Detroit offensive line. I mean, that is a really, really good group, and they look really good in that game against Green Bay, which isn't obviously the same caliber of running game and isn't the same caliber of offensive line as Detroit, but it's still pretty good. And they look beat up in that game.
Yeah. That's a good point. I think also, Lane Johnson got banged up on Monday Night Football. Well, he did come back into the game to play to kind of at the end, but how healthy is he? I'm assuming he's going to play then, but how healthy is he going to be if he's not out, if he's not able to be 100% with Aiden Hutchinson on the field? That could be a big mismatch. Although if they can block him, you're right. I think that's where maybe Philadelphia does have the advantage. Although again, it's like their run blocking hasn't been great. So I don't know. It's just it's a weird. The Eagles are a weird team, so I wouldn't be shocked if the Lions win. And again, it can't be overstated. The Lions have a tough schedule. That's kind of the issue. Just being in the NFC North is tough. They also still have to play the Rams this season and the Steelers, which is no guaranteed victory. So like that, I think that's just the biggest issue. But you win this game, it's open. Like every team in NFC would have at least three losses, with the exception of the winner of the Seahawks Rams games. And again, you play the Rams, so you potentially could win that one and get the 1 seed.
Yeah. It does feel like the most interesting, like the biggest discrepancy in matchup in this game. Now, Detroit has overcome it in a few big games, but like these Detroit corners still without DJ Reed against the Philadelphia receivers, if we figure out whatever AJ Brown needs to do to be happy, like that feels like the biggest mismatch, right?
I mean,
on
like,
paper.
The way you make AJ Brown happy, it's like, hey, just play the rest of the season because, and we'll just tell him you're going to trade him this offseason as long as he like plays out this season and does well and like doesn't pull an Antonio Brown, because there's just this is the guy who complained after they won the Super Bowl for not getting enough touches. AJ Brown is not going to be happy ever after a game. He complained after an 150-yard performance. So like it just don't even think about that. Don't even try to make him happy. Just try to not make him so unhappy he leaves.
Yeah, I guess that's fair. I mean,
yeah.
I mean, it is going to be one of those things though, where it does feel like he could be used in this matchup because they should have that advantage on the outside.
Yeah, I agree. Well, let's move on. I'm going to go with another divisional matchup that you're picking all the good games. I'm picking all the. I mean, this one's interesting. Bears Vikings. I think two teams that feel like they're still in it. The Vikings look certainly better with JJ McCarthy. How much better we'll see, but it's almost like when the Giants went with Jackson Dart, and it's like, okay, I don't know if this is that much better, but it's at least somewhat better as a team. The Bears, though, 6-3, again, trying to keep their playoff hopes alive. Kind of feels like a game you have to win if you're going to have a chance here in the next couple months. Kyle, who do you have winning it?
Yeah, pretty interesting matchup. I mean, obviously we saw this week one, and we came out of the gate and the Bears looked really good, in that game. And all of a sudden it was this just JJ McCarthy comeback, and all of a sudden it was a Vikings win out of it. So really tough there. I'm gonna take
about
the
it
Bears.
for a second. Okay.
Yeah, I've been thinking about this one. Yeah, it's just one of those ones where it's like, I don't know if I trust either of these teams right now. The Vikings just have not been able to stop the run this season. I think the Bears have done a lot of things really solid. I think Caleb looks a lot better these last few weeks compared to week one, and he didn't even look that bad in week one. I think he's taking a marginal leap forward in consistency this season. It's still a long way to go, I think, to where you want him to be as the number one overall pick. But I think he's gotten better. And I think he's gotten better from the start of the season to now. And I think this version of Caleb Williams with the weapons they have at his disposal with Colston Loveland getting involved in the offense, I think that they have enough pieces here to at least poke at this Minnesota Vikings defense, which looks a little bit more leaky than years past, and get a win. So I'll take the Bears in a close one.
Yeah, I get it. JJ McCarthy has quickly become my favorite quarterback to watch, Kyle. He is all over the place. He's almost got a little bit of like Jameis Winston to him. He's gonna do whatever. Gonna you know you don't know if it's gonna be a great play or a horrible play when it happens. Which is really unique in the Kevin O'Connell system. On top of it, again, I'm not saying he's gonna consistently turn the ball over like this, but it's those slight misses, right? I remember that was one of my things in my notes when I did my evaluation of him, where it feels like he'll just like throw kind of behind a guy a lot. Like it's like not necessarily that he'll like completely miss the broadside of a barn. Like those are a factor, but then it doesn't happen all the time. And then he has these stretches where he looks really good. So it's like I don't think there's going to be a single game this year where I feel comfortable picking against or for the Vikings.
Yeah, I mean, I think both sides of it are going to be difficult. So it is really tough. I mean, I don't know what to think with this team right now. I obviously had high preseason expectations, but I think the defense has gotten worse,
Right.
and I think the offense has gotten worse, obviously. So, yeah, it definitely looks like a miss on my part. But
I forgot about that. You shouldn't have brought that up. That you had the Vikings going to the Super Bowl.
Yeah. Well, there's still time. We'll see.
So, yeah, sure.
But yeah,
I got a AJ Brown quote. We're talking about this. He said he won't apologize for talking about his frustration on the Twitch stream. And he also said, if you have eyes, you can see why he's frustrated.
Okay.
I like that. Like usually in a press conference, like, I said, like AJ Brown he's nothing but consistent. He has not wavered on the fact that he is upset and will use the media to let him know.
Who would even want to trade for him at this point?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's the weird thing, right? Where it's like, it's a ticking time bomb, but like it would have been a deadline deal would be perfect, but the Eagles aren't going to get rid of him at the deadline. That's the issue. Oh, the Cowboys.
Well, the
Cowboys would trade for him. I know it's a division, but I think they might do it anyway.
Yeah. Well, I mean, do you want Pickens and AJ Brown on the same football team?
The Cowboys do. Oh yeah, Jerry Jones does.
And CeeDee Lamb, that seems like a lot.
Jerry Jones, that's Kyle. The more you're adding on to this is like making Jerry Jones more want to do this move. Like this is not. You're not thinking he's not a normal person.
AJ Brown's like, hey, why does CeeDee have 15 targets today? I don't want to.
Can you imagine how frustrated he'd be? It's like, okay, yeah, sure. Here we're going to send you to. No, he'd be thrilled though because they pass the ball all the time. He doesn't care.
Yeah, I don't know. What a bizarre human being. Anyway, he can be mad if he wants, whatever he wants to do, I guess. Yeah, I think I'm cooling on that Patriots interest though a little bit. So, where were we?
Bears, Vikings. Yeah.
Well, I guess because I mean, like I said, both of these teams have negative point differential. I've been on this thing with I don't think the Bears are that good. They have a -8 point differential. Granted, they did lose by 32 to the Lions. That helps knock it, or 31 to the Lions, but they still gave up 51 points and lost by 31 in a football game. So that doesn't look good either. But this team has won 6 of their last 7, not the toughest slate, but they have won 6 of their last 7. I guess just overall, how have you looked at this team the last few weeks, the development of this offense and this Ben Johnson thing altogether?
I'm still, I think the Bears are competent. I think that they remind me a lot of Carolina. I think they're better. I think if they play against Carolina, I expect the Bears to win. I think the offenses look significantly better. I still think their defense is just not good. But yeah, I mean, I think like we have seen like Colston Loveland starting to become a real player. Like the offensive line has blocked well this season, and it's had a little bit of injuries, but it's still been able to withstand some of those. I think Caleb Williams has looked good this season. Like that's been it's weird where I feel like he's kind of gotten lost in the shuffle weirdly, even though he was so talked about coming out of college because Drake Mays took such a year 2 leap, and Jaden Daniels is like it's gone from like super high to like what the hell is going on in Washington. But like, yeah, he's taken the year 2 leap you usually hope for a quarterback, right? This is the kind of a normal progression. I feel like it's like show some flashes your rookie season and then become like a solid starter year 2, and hopefully year 3 you put it all together.
Yeah, I think the problem is that year 1 was like bad with like some good games. And then now year 2 is just like all right, and it's like, well, why isn't he the best player in the world or whatever?
Right.
And that's just not fair. But yeah, I mean, I think at least I watched the Bears, and I think the big thing with Ben Johnson, and like everyone wanted him to come in and work miracles, which probably was unfair as expectations. But like you watch the Bears and you just feel like they have a plan, and I feel like that's a much bigger step than that's a huge step from last season where they did not have a plan.
They look like they know
And
how many timeouts they have. They,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I mean, there's the run pass distribution in a lot of these games is normal. Like everything just seems to kind of make sense. So I think there's a lot still to like about this team, even if I don't think it's like I think Bears in a couple years could be really really interesting. I don't know if they're there yet, but they should win this game. I think at least, or at least I think they are the better team in this game right now.
Yeah. I love stats that are really just insults to the last or like compliments that are really just insults to the last head coach of just like, yeah, they've shown up on time. They've everyone's wearing their uniform when they're out there, of just like the most basic things possible.
Yeah, no ping pong table in the locker room,
One more stat I just saw. I know this is going to be the longest podcast ever. Caleb Williams on the other side of the spectrum has the best differential when he is blitzed versus not blitzed. 111 passer rating, one blitzed, 81 not blitzed against Brian Flores. That's a good number if you're a Bears fan.
Yeah, yeah, and he, like I said, the start of that game in week 1, he looked really really good. You just if he can continue that consistency, I think that they have a great chance to win.
Okay, Kyle. Time for you to give me a game.
Let's see. Let's go Cowboys at Raiders.
Cowboys at Raiders. Yeah. I mean, I did consider locking up the Cowboys. I'm not going to do that, but like I think the Cowboys I think the pieces they've added defensively should help some. Like I think this offense I expect this offense to play well against a Raiders defense that I do think is very much lacking in talent. Like I do think that this should go well. Again, the Cowboys have had some rough games this season. Like they are an up and down team, and who's going to cover Brock Bowers? I guess Logan Wilson. Like, good luck. They need you here for this one. That's a tough situation for them, but like, yeah, I think I will pick the Dallas Cowboys to win this game.
Yeah, I guess. I think this is going to be a game where nobody's excited for it to be on Monday night, and we're kind of like, why didn't they flex this or anything? And I could see it actually being an entertaining game. I think both teams could put up points. I mean, the Cowboys have put up points. Everybody's put up points on the Cowboys. I think the Raiders offense, even like since Brock Bowers has just been healthy the last couple of weeks, has looked better. And Geno at times has looked better too because of it. It's still not a great team, but like, it could end up just a high scoring thing. And it's like, okay, someone's going to get the ball last and win it.
Yeah, I mean, it's looked better. Granted, it got shut out the most recent week before he came back. And they also still only scored 7. I mean, like, this is the thing where it's like, okay, the blueprint is clearly just put 2 guys in Brock Bowers and you're going to win this game. But like, will Dallas do that? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know if they're a team that does not seem like they have a plan on defense. So I don't know.
Right. They are not a team that shows up on time.
Yeah, probably not.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I don't think Jerry Jones knows the time it is half the time. So that's probably why.
Possibly not. I wonder if he has like he pays people to like change the clocks to whatever he wants the time to be.
He's like Michael Scott. He eats the full size chicken pot pie and then falls asleep. And everyone at the Dallas facility is just like changing all the clocks to like 4:50 so that they can leave.
It's exactly like that, except Jerry Jones is absolutely not in the office at 4:50. There's 0% chance that's happening.
No, he's out of their way before.
Yeah, I think so. Kyle, let's move on. Time for me to give you a game. I'm going, another interesting divisional game. Niners taking on the Cardinals. Cardinals have been up and down this season. The Niners have also kind of been up and down, but a game they feel like they have to win to secure that 7th seed or at least a playoff spot. Where are you going?
Yeah. Two, I think kind of vaguely interesting teams given the seasons and what's happened. Like, Arizona had that big Monday night win. It felt like, okay, is this the team we were kind of waiting for all season? Then they go and lay a dud the next week. I think I have to take San Francisco just for the level of competence they have. I saw the report for Purdy because I had to look that up before, and it said Kyle Shanahan said Brock Purdy will be a limited but aggressive participant at Wednesday's practice. I don't think I've ever seen that before in my life. So he's aggressively limited. Okay, so the intention, though, is for him to start on Sunday. So Brock Purdy back in the mix. I like the San Francisco team a lot more. Again, it's another one of those things. This offense slowly but surely is getting healthier. Brock Purdy back in the mix with the rest of this group. And Ricky Pearsall did practice Wednesday as well. So there's a chance that they basically have everybody but Ayuk back, which is what we expected preseason. And I think that's going to be enough to win this game.
Yeah, I think so as well. I think the one concern I would have is if Brock Purdy isn't healthy, then I don't want Brock Purdy out there. Like if he's playing injured, I think like Brock Purdy at 70% probably isn't better than what Mac Jones has done this season. So like, usually if your quarterback can go, you just say, let's have our quarterback go. I don't know if I love that situation. And also just like this was a competitive game last time these two teams played. The 49ers, I believe that was the first game that Mac Jones played, if I remember correctly. The 49ers won by a point. They weren't able to run the ball too effectively that game. That was a big Ricky Pearsall game. Christian McCaffrey had 88 yards receiving as well in that one. But like that was before the 49ers defense kind of completely fell apart. So like if Arizona with Jacoby Brissett now can put up points, can San Francisco match that in this game? And it's just a divisional game. So if I can give you a road favorite in a divisional game, I always like to get not have to pick this.
Yeah. No, I definitely think it's a reasonable take for sure. I think that this is going to be a close game either ways, but it's Mac Jones has looked good this season. He looked good last week, so I think that helps too. I mean, you at least know you have two good options at this point, or capable options, you know. And then, the other part of it too is Marvin Harrison had surgery for appendicitis, so like he's not playing. So yeah, I think that adds part of it too. You're losing your best receiver from that group. You still have McBride. You still have a few guys there, but it just feels like that it's pointing in the direction of San Francisco for me.
I agree. I would pick San Francisco as well. The Trey McBride thing. Trey McBride's like the best player on the planet. Like Trey McBride, he's a top 10 player in football, not in terms of positional value, but like in football, he's a top 10 player.
Yeah, I mean he is really, really good. So I can't. This feels like me giving you a take of someone's like top 3 at something, and then you're like supposed to argue against it. I don't want to argue against it.
Tough, isn't it?
I don't want to argue against it. I'm sure he's in the conversation for sure.
Yeah. All right. Let's move on. Kyle, give me a game.
Let's go with. I think you're locking this game up. I guess I'll give it to you. Why not? Balls at Dolphins.
I'm locking it up. I don't feel great about locking up the Miami Dolphins in this situation, given how up and down their season has been. And like, I do think there is potential for Washington to put up points in this, even though Miami's defense has looked better as of late. I think that's kind of the concern. But Miami has to win by a field goal. And again, I just feel like Washington's defense was already horrible. Now it's injured. Deron Payne is suspended for this game. I just feel like Miami should be able to score a bunch of points and win by at least a field goal.
Yeah, this offense has looked better lately. And honestly, like down to down, it hasn't been that bad this season. They just have some of the dumbest plays mixed in there. So yeah, the last 2 of the last 3 weeks, they've looked really good. I don't see a reason to pick against them at this point. I can't argue a reason to pick against them given the state of Washington and what they're doing. If you want to hate on me for picking Minnesota to make the Super Bowl, you better give me credit for saying Washington wasn't going to make the playoffs this year. I was all over that. They have not looked good.
Didn't I also say that though?
No, I think you said the Commanders were going to make it.
Did I? I might have had them as like a 7 seed though. Neither one of us were high on them.
No, it's still a flawed roster and it's old. I will say, so I have a Dolphins friend in my life who was very excited after their win, and he was telling me about how there is the path to the playoffs now, and the path to the playoffs involves like the Steelers losing like 3 or 4 games, and then the Chiefs losing a couple times, and the Texans losing a couple times, and all this. And I was like, oh, okay, so there's no chance. And he's like, no, there's a pathway. This is what you do
here. Though. You've been your team was bad for 5 years. You were like, whatever, let's watch a championship DVD. And then like once you're bad for long enough, this is how you have to do it. Like this is when you're a bad enough team, you don't get excited like, oh my God, we might win the Super Bowl. You get excited when it's like, we are competitive with 4 weeks left to go into season. Like when you get in the hunt graphic, that's like a big deal for bad teams.
Yeah. My general point, though, is that this would be the most Dolphins thing ever to then have their fans back in after that big win over Buffalo and say mapping out their 1% chance to make the playoffs and then losing to Washington. And where is this game even being played? How do we still have these games? Why are we doing this in Madrid? There's no way Madrid cares about Washington, Miami.
This is a great final game just because like we don't even have to watch it. Like this you don't even have to get up early. We can check the ending of it. Hopefully it's close.
I'll watch that 15-minute highlight thing that the NFL posts and I'm good.
Yeah, that's it. Yes. Don't be afraid to walk your dog in the morning. It's fine.
Yeah, 9:30 in Madrid for Washington Commanders, Miami Dolphins. That's crazy.
Yeah,
Wait, is this at the Bernabeu or something? This is insane. Who's doing this?
This the last. Luckily, this is the last international game of the year. The international game was a bit of a bust this year. This was a rough. We finally got a good one last week. They should have just canceled this one and let us go out with that. Oh hey, we got one good one in Germany.
This is the funniest thing ever. This is literally like you don't know soccer, but the Bernabeu is like the most iconic like sports stadium on the planet. And this is probably the worst event to ever happen in this stadium. Like the Real Madrid is just like the juggernaut of sports, and this is easily the worst thing to ever happen at the Bernabeu Stadium. This is terrible. Wow.
You don't think Marcus Mariota deserves to play on the stadium?
The Washington Commanders in Madrid. Oh my gosh. You might as well just put them against Real Madrid's actual first team right now. I think I'd take Mbappe at running back over anybody on these teams.
Maybe. I don't know. Achan's good.
Yeah, I do like Achan.
Yeah.
Jude Bellingham can be a quarterback in the NFL. I believe it.
Sure. Okay. I don't know.
I'm just kidding.
I don't know what that is. And I picked Washington for the 5 seed. Actually, I thought I was lower on them than that. Okay, so credit to you, Kyle. Let's move on. I don't have my notes up. Let's see. Is this my game or your game? This is. Oh, I do have my
You
notes
just
here.
lost that, so it's me.
Oh, right. Yeah.
You give me a game.
I give you a game. I'm going to give you a rematch of a playoff game that people have talked about a lot over the years. Chargers, Jaguars, obviously one of the all-time collapses. The Brandon Staley game. Kyle, who do you have winning this one?
Yeah. There's going to be plenty of highlights from that. All that good stuff. I'm going to lock up the Chargers.
Yeah.
I just think that stinky Jaguars loss is just weighing too much on my brain, which is probably going to cost me here. But the Chargers are a better team. This Jaguars team did not look good last week and obviously blew that game. And, without Travis Hunter out there, I think their defense looks a lot worse. And I just think that Los Angeles, it's still not perfect for me. Like, I still don't know how much I buy this team. But when they really struggled earlier in the season when they had some injuries, it just feels like they figured out their offense enough to overcome those injuries at this point and have played better the last few weeks. Despite still having those injuries, that I think that they've just managed to right the ship enough to where I have to buy in on this team. I think this team's more than a 3-point team, 3 points better than Jacksonville, and I'm just going to take those odds.
I agree. I think that one thing is this is a long way to go, right? Going from Los Angeles to Jacksonville. That's a long travel. So that I think maybe plays a factor in the line. But yeah, I think it's totally reasonable to have concerns about this Chargers offense, especially long term when they play against good teams. I don't have more concerns about this Chargers offense than the Jaguars offense. And then I think the Chargers defense has been way better this season. So yeah, I'm with you. I think again, how does Jacksonville find a way to win this game? You have to just hope that you don't get the bad Trevor Lawrence stuff that we've seen. And if you can get a better performance, but I don't know. I don't know what you do if you're Jacksonville. This is the issue. If you're Liam Cohen, you had to say yes to this, right? Like you got so much money and power for this team. But this is why he initially said no to it. Part of why he initially said no to it. It's not a great situation if you can't fix Trevor Lawrence, and it doesn't look like that's getting fixed.
Yeah. And I think the argument you're going to make for Jacksonville in this game is like, I already mentioned the affirmation, injuries on the offensive line for Los Angeles. There's still, Joe Alt's obviously not coming back this season, all that kind of
Hmm.
stuff. This is
Yeah,
still a really good Jacksonville defensive line.
that's
And
true.
like with all these backups out there, like can Josh Hines Allen, Eric Armstead, and Trayvon Walker just like overwhelm them? Like I think that's possible. And then all of a sudden it's like I think it's a good run defensive group too. Like you limit Vidal to essentially nothing, and then you're just making them one dimensional. And I think this Chargers offense, when it's one dimensional, is just bad. Even though I think they should throw more still. But that's probably the argument. But even then, like I just don't think it's enough to really sway me the other way.
Yeah, yeah, and I think also the Jaguars run the ball very effectively. They're actually second best offensive EPA per play wise. The Chargers are kind of mediocre at that. They're great pass defense and a solid run defense. So maybe there's a little bit of pathway there. The flip side though is just like, okay, but now you also have to block Khalil Mack with Walker Little.
Yeah, that's not great.
Yeah, which is like not the worst thing in the world, but that's I think like I think the mismatches are kind of both ways. So I think that, and again, Herbert's had issues this season. I still trust him way more than Lawrence. Although even in the playoff game, Lawrence turned the ball over 5 times.
Yeah.
Somehow Herbert's the guy that everyone blames from that loss, not the guy who turned the ball over 5 times.
Yeah. No, I mean there is it was a weird game, but yeah, absolutely. I think I think Herbert's still really good. I mean, he's second in passing yards this season, and he had a couple bad weeks there, but I think for the most part he has been really lights out as well. And I think that this is this feels like it should be like a 5.5 point game. That's just my general point.
Yeah, I agree. I wonder if it's just it being in Jacksonville and the travel has factored in, but I still agree. It should at least be 3.5. Kyle, give me a game.
This line feels crazy to me just based on what saw this team last week, and let's go Bucks at Bills.
I was hopeful you'd. I was going to give it to you earlier. I should have bumped it up higher, I suppose. Give me the Bucks. Let's go. I think that the Buccaneers have obviously not great. I mean, I don't know. They played the Patriots top. That's not a horrible loss or anything like that. I just think that this Bills offense is so predicated on being able to run the football right now, and they're not going to be able to run the football against Tampa Bay. I do think Josh Allen's scrambling ability, that's always a factor, and he's Josh Allen. You think that should work. Baker Mayfield's another one of those guys though that I feel like if you are this crazy blitzing team or you're constantly making an effort to keep him in the pocket, like then he's gonna look okay. But if you don't treat him that way, like a dual threat, which he kind of is at this point, then he looks really good. And I don't think the Bills are going to do that. I don't think the Bills are going to go in and like view him that way. So I think that the Buccaneers offense could be kind of back to what we've seen the past few weeks. Both Bucky Irving and Chris Godwin have been practicing. So hopefully that works. And it's, it is in Buffalo. That's not ideal, but yeah, give me Tampa Bay here. Baker Mayfield's played well in the cold. I'm not worried about it.
Yeah. No, I think it's a perfectly reasonable take. I think this is a disrespectful line. I think that this Tampa Bay team, like, look, they've lost to the good teams they played this season. They haven't looked embarrassed at all this season. They've looked competent. I mean, the Detroit game was not good, fair, but that was like the worst of their injury situation.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know what to think of this Bills team because, like, I was ready to say, like, this defense just feels like it's too bad at times in the secondary to really trust it. And then they had that Kansas City game where Maxwell Harrison and Cole Bishop just like injected so much life into that secondary group. I was like, oh, wow. Okay, if these young guys are this good, absolutely, this team's, maybe the favorite in the AFC, all that kind of stuff. They're back. And then they went down and laid such a dud again last week. And it's like, man, I just don't know. I don't know what to think of that team. I think that there's way too many holes in Buffalo to really be convinced either way. I think that they have two really good defensive ends, but Tampa, despite all their injuries on the offensive line, still has two really good tackles, and especially Tristan Wirfs, who I know hasn't been quite the same this season, but he's still good. He's still competent at that spot for sure. And then you have all that. You still have Vita Vea and all these guys that are going to, you think, limit Buffalo in the run game. I will say, though, Tampa's given up some big run plays the last couple weeks. If you go, obviously Travion Henderson had those two big runs. Jahmyr Gibbs had a couple big ones in that game too. That's been a very uncharacteristically Tampa thing to happen this season, but I still trust that group overall to get stops and limit Buffalo play to play, and that opens it up for Tampa Bay for sure.
It's a good point. It feels like there's been a couple times where it's like, it's so hard to break through, but once you break through, there's no one else there. I also think that to me the biggest concern and probably why Buffalo is favored is just the Josh Allen factor, and Tampa Bay hasn't done a great job at rushing the passer this season against Buffalo. Allen could have just all day to throw, but again, who's he going to throw to with Tampa Bay, a very good secondary? Tampa Bay's defense has been one of the more underrated units in football, I think, this year. It's a very good defense this season, and I think that's the concern right now if we're Buffalo, who struggled to get guys open.
Yeah, I mean, no, it's definitely a factor because this Bills offensive line has been really good all year, and Josh Allen's obviously been very good his entire career, buying himself time and escaping in the pocket and all that kind of thing. And they still haven't had time to throw or guys open to throw to this year, so it hasn't really come together. Like when Kincaid's been out there, he's probably been their most reliable target, but like if your most reliable target's Dalton Kincaid, I have concerns, and.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think that I would not be surprised at all if Buffalo wins. Obviously, I just don't think they should be 5.5-point favorites.
It's a bummer that there are you have the Cowboys Raiders as a primetime game, the Jets Patriots as a primetime game, and then this one's getting buried at the 1:00 window.
Yeah, we could have moved this around. This is an interesting stretch though for Tampa though, right? They had the Detroit game, New Orleans bye. They had New England coming out of the bye. You hoped with that extra week they'd be okay in that one. They got Buffalo and Los Angeles. Like it's probably not that big of a deal in the end for them, win or lose these couple of games. Like you obviously want to win and kind of like get a good win on your resume and feel good about it. But then like it's pretty cake after that, those final 6 games of the season. So they're probably going to end up around 12 wins either way, 11, 12 wins and winning this division. But it would be nice to get one of these games and say like, hey, we can go up against these guys and get one of them.
It would, and they have beaten Seattle this season, but I think that was kind of early on in the year. You want to win one here. I agree. Well, it's to me, I think Tampa Bay has a really hard time trying to get a 1 seed at this point, but they very much could still get like a 2 or 3 seed, and it's all about the playing well. And I mean, listen, they'll be favored in all their last 6 games, but 4 of those are divisional matchups. Yeah. So like things can go wrong there. So yeah, I mean, they'll win the division, but the question is just, can they be more than just the NFC South champions this year? It's kind of been the Bucs this season.
Yeah, and with all the injuries, it's tough. But like not being the 4 seed feels like it's kind of important when it's probably going to be Seahawks or Rams in that first game. And I know they beat the Seahawks, like you said, but like I don't know if I want to go up against that team again.
Yeah, that's a great point. Let's move on. Kyle, this just goes to show this week that we are an hour deep into the show, and I'm just now giving you Chiefs Broncos. I mean, part of it is how poorly we paced this episode of the show. But Kyle, who do you have winning Chiefs Broncos potentially for the NFC West Championship? Although still some work to do after this if the Chiefs do win.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good point. Like this team is, we were ready to say the Chiefs are back. They're going to make their run. They're going to go to the Super Bowl and all that. Then they didn't look too good against Buffalo. I mean, they only lost by 7, so it's not like it's a terrible, terrible loss or anything. But they didn't look their best. And then all of a sudden, it's like, okay, it felt like a step back based on what we were seeing. I am going to take, obviously, Kansas City. I can't not take Kansas City, it feels like at this point, especially with everything I've said about Denver's offense this season and how just frustrating and incompetent and, just inconsistent Bo Nix has been. He has been really, really good at the end of these games sometimes, put his team in a position to win. But he's been hurting the team actively first 3 quarters of a lot of these games. So I don't think I could trust this Denver offense enough. The one thing I am worried about is like the first few weeks we had this Rashee Rice return and him and Worthy and Kelsey. Like it just felt like guys were open all the time those first few games. And all of a sudden they just weren't open against Buffalo, who, didn't really have to worry about defending the run. And they were able to, frustrate, I think, in coverage and close a lot of those tight windows Well, you're going against Denver, and Denver has a lot of guys that can do that too. So it just feels like there could be a blueprint there for what Buffalo did. But I just think KC coming off a bye, I still think Bo Nix is going to put the ball in harm's way, and I think KC is going to be ready for it.
Yeah. Andy Reid historically against, coming off a bye, one of the all-time best at it. I do think that, like, yeah, I just think, I don't know, part of, there's been this whole, it's weird where it's like, the Chiefs, and you had the take of even when the Chiefs, I think someone else said this, and then you agreed with it, where it's the like the Chiefs kind of weirdly look better this year than they did last year, even though they only lost twice with Mahomes, and one of those games was the Super Bowl. I do think though that, like, they don't feel quite as balanced, and I just wonder, they looked better, in certain games, but also, like, again, the games they looked better at with Rashee Rice healthy. It was the Lions when they were missing their whole secondary. It was the Raiders and then the Commanders. So it's like they looked better, but also it's not necessarily the best competition. And so I think this is another real test when they didn't look great against Buffalo of what exactly is this Chiefs receiving core. But yeah, I mean, it's Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid coming off a bye. That's going to, tilt the scales. And Bo Nix just hasn't played well this season. So, like, even though they're 8-2, like, they need a good Bo Nix performance here. But it's a big stretch for the Chiefs. They play this Colts next week. Like, they got to turn it around right now.
Well, I mean, they are 2 games behind Denver and play them twice. So, I mean, the path is obviously there for if they want to win this division. Like, you have to beat the team that's in front of you by 2 games. So, they have a pathway to...
It's actually 2.5 games, but yeah.
Yeah, sorry. So, yeah, so they have the pathway of winning the games in front of them to win their division and all that. But, like, there's not the margin for error that you want. The run game just hasn't been there. And, I mean, honestly, Mahomes didn't play well in that game. Like, he didn't play well against Buffalo at all, I thought. Yeah. And so I think that was a huge part of it. And, like, they just have to find some way, I think, to get, a little bit out of Kareem Hunt and Isaiah Pacheco and those guys to make it happen, because I don't think you're going to be able to drop back 40, 50 times against this Denver secondary and just get away with it. I think I expect Kansas City to come out with a more balanced approach, because this Denver team is legitimately scary on defense, and I wouldn't want to test them over and over again.
Yeah. I do feel like, though, like, you get really excited when you talk about this game, Chiefs offense versus Broncos defense. Like, that should be a really fun chess match, a lot of interesting things. And then just like, but yeah, I don't expect the Broncos to do much of anything offensively against the Chiefs. Like, I could be wrong, but I just don't expect that. Like, I think the Broncos' key to victory is winning 17-14. And, like, if that's what it takes against Mahomes, I'm always going to expect Mahomes to win. Doesn't mean he will, but I'm always going to expect the Chiefs to win.
Yeah. I think the one thing you would have to look at is, like, so we saw in that Buffalo game where Buffalo did have success was running the ball first. And then also they had this quick passing game with Shakir. I felt like really worked effectively in that game. And so, like, but Denver, I do think when their offense is at their best is like Bo Nix throwing the ball at the line of scrimmage. Like, that's something he generally has done a lot in his career. And so are they able to use that quick passing game, J.K. Dobbins, R.J. Harvey, to kind of keep this Kansas City defense off kilter? I think that is a possibility too.
Yeah. And, we keep talking about if Kansas City wins, what that means. If the Broncos win, okay, now you're 3.5 up this late into the season. And again, the Chiefs, I guess both teams have a Chargers loss on the schedule. So, like, the tiebreaker's still up in the air, but, like, that puts you so much far ahead in that situation. So it would be easily the biggest Broncos win probably since I guess they had a win late. I think this would be the biggest Broncos win since they won the Super Bowl in 2015, right? Because even last year, I'm trying to think of, like, what the win would be. They beat the Chiefs 35-0 when the Chiefs played their backups to make the playoffs. Like, that doesn't feel quite the same.
Yeah, I will say this: if Kansas City loses this game, they won't win the division. I know, like, there are still three losable games on Denver's schedule. They play Green Bay, they play Kansas City again on the road on Christmas Day, and then they play Los Angeles to end the season. But they also play Washington, Las Vegas, and Jacksonville in that stretch, and they have their bye week still. I think that's too much of a gap. That's too much of a gap for me. So yeah, I think if Kansas City loses this game, they're not winning the division. They have to prepare for a wild card round.
Yeah, I would just say if Denver wins, I think the Chargers could still catch them, but because they're still in the mix too.
Oh no,
But yeah,
that's why I said Kansas City won't
yeah,
win the division. Not
yeah,
necessarily
right,
that
right.
Denver
Denver
will
will.
win it.
Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's move on. Kyle, we might want to just do we have still 6 games left. You want to just do or no, 5 games left. You want to do like a quick 1 to 2 minutes on each of these games?
Yeah, I mean, I think most of these games are. I mean, there's 1 5.5, and the rest of them are touchdown or more, basically. So
Mm-hmm.
let's do. I'll give you Bengals at Steelers.
Yeah, I mean, I'm picking the Steelers. It's a good pick here though because it is a divisional game, and also we just saw the Bengals beat the Steelers. The Steelers have signed Asante Samuel off the street, Asante Samuel Jr. off the street. That'd be wild if they signed. Honestly, see what Senior is doing too. But I still just feel like Aaron Rodgers was so good the last time these two teams played. I think that the Bengals receiving corps will still play really well in this game. The top receivers will still play really well in this game, but I think I'm going to pick Pittsburgh to win. But yeah, I don't expect it to be that different than the last time these two teams played. I just think I trust the Steelers to do that more consistently.
Yeah, I mean, it's just it is, the Steelers are a better team on paper, top to bottom, right? That is the thing you're looking at. But it's a really bad team. This is the one team you don't want to have a terrible secondary against. And I mean,
Yeah.
the Steelers defense without Deshaun Elliott is a terrible secondary. They are Jalen Ramsey's playing safety on this team. They're using Kyle they had him that they just traded for. They signed Jabril Peppers. They traded for Kyle Duggar. Joey Porter Jr., Darius Slay's been in and out of the lineup. All these guys, you just have all these guys that it's just not a very good group outside Jalen Ramsey. And that's just kind of simply what it is. And we just seen too many teams throw on them way too easily. So, yeah, I think, we're going to see another game where Jamar Chase is going to get 20 targets and T. Higgins is probably going to get 15. And that could be enough to be the difference in this game, besides Pittsburgh being better.
Yeah, and I'll say this too, I guess we're going a little longer because there's actually more to this game than I kind of was thinking. But for Cincinnati, we saw, Joe Burrow has returned to practice. They play if they can beat the Steelers, that means they sweep the Steelers. You also have both of the games against the Ravens. Now, I don't expect them to beat New England the following week, but it's if you can, beat the Steelers, you lose to New England, you have 7 losses on the season. But if you sweep the Ravens as well, okay, that puts you at, if you can win and win out, which the winning out part's not, I mean, they have to play the Bills as well. So it'd be tough, but I don't know, can 9-8 and sweeping the Ravens and the Steelers be enough to win the division? You can at least talk yourself into it if you're a Bengals fan. If you're the equivalent of that Miami fan that you're friends with, you've done the math here.
Yeah, and not to mention, it's just one of those ones where it's the panic button is, they have the little lid thing on it. The lid is up, and you're ready to hit the panic button. If they lose this win, you probably have to put the panic button on the Steelers because they're 5-5 at that point.
I think I've already pressed it.
Yeah, I mean, this schedule's not easy down the stretch. They have Buffalo, Baltimore, Detroit, Baltimore again.
Mm-hmm.
And Baltimore is probably going to be tied with them at that point in the division. And we already said how difficult it is to make the playoffs in the AFC. They're probably going to be that 8 or 9 team if they lose this game. That's just, there's another 4 losses right there on their schedule that you're looking at, or at least games that they're not going to be favored in. And if you lose those 4, that's 8 and 9. Then all of a sudden, Aaron Rodgers ruining the Mike Tomlin 500 streak would just be comical.
Yeah, that feels like it's almost supposed to happen. Let's move on, Kyle. Time for me to give you a game. I'm going to give you Packers taking on. I'm not picking Jameis Winston. I'll let you pick the Jameis Winston game. I'm assuming you're still going Green Bay, though.
Yeah, Green Bay needs a get right game, right? I think this Giants team, Brian Daboll's obviously, you got the fired coach and Jameis Winston thing going against you.
Oh man, that's tough.
This is I mean, it could be Giants by 1 million at that point, but Packers need to get right game. They need to get back in the mix of this thing. So I expect them to come out engaged and ready to win this one.
Yeah, it's never great when your argument for team is having nothing to do with actually the football players themselves. I do think the Giants defense has been scrappy this year, which given how hot and cold the Packers offense is, that could maybe be a good thing. And then again, can Jameis Winston go off? Can he be the one to solve this defense? I think he probably I'm expecting more of bad Jameis Winston than good Jameis Winston due to the good Packers defense, but we will see. I think
Mhm.
we'll see how it goes. But yeah, have to pick Green Bay here.
Yeah, and it's one of those things we talked about how good this how good the Philadelphia defensive line looked. This might be the one team with a better defensive line than Philadelphia.
Mm-hmm.
They have
Yeah.
so many guys. Brian Burns has hit it in really, really good this season. All these guys on this lineup, like this team could cause a lot of problems against this Packers offensive line.
Yeah, we'll see. Could end up being an interesting one. Kyle, give me a game.
All right, we're still not guaranteed to have CJ Stroud back. I know Davis Mills looked really good in the fourth quarter, had a big comeback, but we got to go Texans at Titans.
Yeah, divisional game. That's kind of the one thing. And the CJ Stroud stuff. Texans offense hasn't been great this year, but their defense has. And against Cam Ward, even if your defense isn't great, that's usually enough. With the defense not being great, feels like one that you expect feels like one you expect to go one way. Now, last time they played, the Texans won 26-0. I will say that was a game that it was 6-0 after the third quarter. So another Texans are apparently a great fourth quarter team. Their fourth quarter point differential has to be like the best in football if those 2 games. But yeah, so you have that. You think that the Texans can win, but can you make this a low scoring game and just get enough offensively? There is at least that's the pathway, but it seems unlikely.
Yeah. Would it be a bad thing if the Titans just forfeited the rest of their games this season?
Well, I would think yes. What's the argument for that?
We don't have to watch it anymore.
Okay, would it be a bad thing for us if they forfeited all their games?
No, I think that'd be great, actually. So, yeah, I think
okay.
This team is... I mean, the tough thing is, like, this team is just... It's not even that it's a bad team, because bad teams happen every year. This team is just so painful to watch.
Yeah.
It's so incredibly painful.
I can't believe they beat the Cardinals. I can't believe they've won a game this year.
Yeah.
This is like... It just shows how improbable it is for the 0-16 Lions and Browns to do what they did.
Yeah, I mean, they've had 2 games that they've had 2 losses they kept within 10 points. And the last one against the Chargers was a fluky, not 10-point loss. And then their win was probably the most fluky game of the season based on actually what happened. Yeah. Like the interception leading to the fumble that ended up a touchdown, and also the fumbling at the 1-yard line thing. Like, just the most there was only one it was like the Infinity War where, of the million scenarios to win the game, they found the one scenario to win. And it was just it's crazy. This team's painful. This should be an 0-17 team.
Yeah, that's rough. I never saw Infinity War.
Yeah, I mean, it's fine.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like
I'm not a Marvel. I'm pretty just whatever about the Marvel movies. Like, they're entertaining. I get it, but like, I don't like rewatch them. Like, yeah, it's like I get it. I see what happens and I move on.
Yeah, I don't know. They're fine. Not my thing. I know all the memes though. Good memes come out of it.
There is a lot of good memes. I mean, they basically write to have memes. That's essentially it. But
yeah.
Did you see that Emma Stone movie yet?
Begonia? Yeah.
You liked it?
Yeah, I thought it was fun.
Okay.
Have you seen it yet?
No, I need to see it. That's on my list.
I think it's very good. I think it's not quite as good as Poor Things or some of the other stuff she's done recently, but I think it's a fun, like, trapped in a basement movie.
All right, I got to check it out. I was in London this weekend, so I missed everything.
Oh, cool. How's that? That's more interesting than what we're talking about.
Yeah, I saw West. I have been a West Ham fan for a few seasons now. I've seen them in person 3 times. This team is the second worst team in England right now in the top league. I have not seen them lose in person at all, inexplicably. Last year I saw them play Manchester United and they won. I saw them in preseason in Atlanta, they won. And then I saw them play Burnley this past weekend and they won. So they should just fly me out for every game at this point.
Clearly. Yeah, Kyle, you're going to, no wonder. That's why you're leaving the show. You're going to be living in London.
Yeah, they're going to fly me out there every weekend. I can't wait.
Exactly. 2 games left. Only one of those we will actually pick. The other one we'll still talk about, though. Kyle, you are picking Ravens-Browns as the game I'll give you, just because it's a divisional game that doesn't involve the Jets. Where are you going?
Yeah, Ravens. They've looked good the last few weeks, obviously, with Lamar Jackson. Obviously, this Browns defense is what it is. It's going to be a difficult game for another team to play. They're not like they're not a fun team to play against because they have those players. They have Myles Garrett, but you're never going to pick them to win. Um, so it'll be interesting in that regards. How do they handle that? But at the most part, I think that it's going to be a pretty simple and straightforward Ravens win.
Yeah, and it's a situation where it was kind of close last time for a bit, and then the Ravens, kind of similar to what we talked about with the Texans Titans, it kind of got out of hand. But also the Browns weren't able to do anything offensively with Flacco. I don't think it'll be better with Dylan Gabriel. I'm ready for Shooter Sanders. Let's do it. Come on, why not?
I think that's the only reason. I think that's the exact reason why Kevin Stefanski isn't doing it. Honestly, he's like, I don't want people to watch us too closely. I'm good.
Oh yeah, that might be a good point. Yeah, maybe that's actually okay. Well, they shouldn't have drafted him then, if that was the case.
Yeah, that's tough. But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if he gets a cameo. I mean, we'll see.
Yeah, I think maybe. So we have a super chat, no message. I just like your analysis. Well, we appreciate that. Kyle, final game. This one's it's at New England, right? I accidentally deleted it and had to rewrite it.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Jets taking on the Patriots. Look at that line here, Kyle. 12.5-point favorites in Foxborough. So neither one of us are picking the game because there's an odd last week with an odd number of games. Only two teams are on their bye this week. So yeah, I mean, we're both picking the Patriots to win handedly. I mean, I don't know. This should not go well for the Jets. Kyle, I will not be checking this one out tomorrow night.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to watch it obviously because it's my team. I don't, we don't get a lot of national TV games on the schedule this season.
Sure.
So there is all that aspect. I mean, this run defense, for the first time this season, they gave up over 50 yards for a rusher. And it was Sean Tucker with 53 yards last week. So
I hope that stat stays the whole season. I want that to be that. Please let that happen.
They were the first. It was like the first time in like 80 years a team had done it for 9 straight games. And then all of a sudden it's Sean Tucker, 53 yards. The run defense wasn't
a running back, right? Because there was a quarter. I didn't like Josh Allen do it.
I think it might have been something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, the run defense wasn't awesome, I would say, last week, and it was because Sean Tucker broke a couple, so they ended up over 4 yards per carry too. I mean,
that's not a guy you can keep down.
Besides that, the run defense has been phenomenal this season. So the Jets just won a game with 54 passing yards. We know what they want to do. Justin Fields and Breece Hall is going to beat this offense. And yeah, I mean, there's obviously the case that they could do it, but like for the most part, I trust this Patriots run defense to handle its business. I hate a divisional game. I hate a Thursday night game, but this is probably as best as they can get. And we got no Garrett Wilson, so that's even better. And then they should score a lot of points on this defense.
Yeah, it's one of those things. I feel like we just did this last week where it's like Broncos Raiders, and it's like I have nothing to look at and say the Raiders should be in this game. But it's Thursday night divisional game. Anything could happen. And that game came down to the wire. We didn't even talk about the ending of that game. That was the funniest ending ever, where Bo Nix throws a horrible interception to put the Raiders in field goal range, down just 3 late in the game. And then the Raiders missed the field goal. That was like the perfect encapsulation of that game.
Yeah. Yeah. What a stupid team. I can't stand Denver. But they are 8-2, so they deserve the credit. But yeah, what a bizarre game that was. And yeah, these Thursday night games just get so weird, especially on a short week. Like I saw everybody like there was like 15 players on the New England injury report as limited participants in practice. Like I think it really just comes down to they don't practice anybody during the week because they're injured, and they want a break. And yeah, I think all of it is just like it leads to wacky results. So, there's going to be no Christian Ellis, no Kayshon Boutte, no Ramondre Stevenson. I mean, all that said, there's no excuse to lose to this team. This team, the Patriots have still been relatively healthy this season and still haven't had their bye week, which is a huge, I think, boost for this team overall. So yeah, let's win this game. We got 2 more before our bye week. We get a long week before Cincinnati, and yeah, the hope is just that you handle business and get out. I don't need to win by 14. I think we've convinced the Patriots have shown me enough to say this is a very good team. I don't need to win by 14. Let's just win by 7-10 on a Thursday night, and let's just get out of there.
Yeah, and I would say as well, I feel like someone like Justin Fields is the last quarterback I'd want to have to play on a short week because like that is someone you kind of want to be able to install a full game plan against. But I
Yeah.
guess I'd still rather play him than like a good quarterback. So I think it's still okay.
Yeah. It's like going in like when you played like high school and then it's like, oh, the team runs an option or a wing T offense. And it's like, well, haven't played this since I was like 6. So this is just going to be learning something on the fly, basically. That's basically what you're doing against this team.
Yeah, it's compelling. But again, I think Mike Vrabel's probably like he probably just has them like practice the stuff anyway.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, that's probably just like a thing he does. Like that's what I start every practice.
Yeah. Well, and they also, yeah. I mean, they should win. We don't
Yeah.
need to analyze this game anymore. Just win.
No, yeah, probably didn't even need to do it at all. Kyle, let them know where you can find us on Twitter before we head out.
Yeah. Make sure to follow me make sure to follow him at Jackson Kruger. Make sure to follow me at by Kyle Grana, and make sure to follow the account page at On the Sideline JK. That is at On the Sideline JK.
Of course, if you like audio only podcast, anywhere you get your podcast, just search On the Sideline Podcast. It should be available there. That is our show. We'll be back midnight Eastern to break down everything that happens and what could be one of the weeks of the season coming up in week 11. Kyle, any final thoughts? You're ready to get out of here.
No, this has been a long enough show. Let's go ahead and get out of here.
Yes. Thanks for everyone for watching or listening. We'll be back on Sunday at midnight. Until then, have a good one.
Peace.